Our first speaker is JuJuan Buford. He has 15 years of experience helping entrepreneurs build a thriving business. He is an accomplished public speaker, a talented writer. So he's going to give you some personal motivation with a 5 a.m. pep talk.
How's everyone doing this evening? Fantastic. Definitely excited to be standing here before you. I'd be remiss, though, before I proceed any further, if I, first of all, did not thank Agents of Hope for allowing me to have a platform to address you all here. I think they're doing phenomenal work. I'm really excited to have learned about the organization for the first time. I want to thank a number of individuals as well. If you don't mind, refer to my flip chart here. I want to thank Shola, who I met for the first time, inspirational individual. I mean, he has a real heartbeat to serve. I'm very appreciative of his leadership. I want to thank Wally for inviting me out on behalf of Mr. Adanaka Duru, or otherwise known as Oscar Duru here. This gentleman isn't going to say much about himself, but I'll tell you he is just a powerhouse and a true inspiration to myself as well. Once again, my name is JuJuan Buford. I'm going to kind of cut to the chase in the interest of time. Usually when I give talks, I'm speaking for approximately an hour, so if I'm talking really fast, because I'm trying to jam an hour worth of talking into like 15, 20 minutes. Hopefully that's okay with you, right? So you all following me a little bit here. Great. When we talk about a 5 a.m. pet talk, or really the topic of discussion I'd like to share with you is personal motivation, I'm going to share a couple things about you personally, because I think oftentimes individuals have this idea of entrepreneurs being superhuman. Like we have some type of skill set, different blood running through our veins, or we breathe different type of air. But I'll tell you, everyone in here who has a desire to be of service to individuals and bring value to people's lives can be a successful entrepreneur. My personal background is a little bit antithetical to what you would anticipate from a business owner or a professional like myself, right? She just shared earlier I was an investment advisor for approximately 15 years. I know what it's like to have a $30,000 payday, and I know what it's like to have a $3 month, okay, being an entrepreneur and working in different capacities. But what I'll tell you at the end of the day, once again, it's not because I'm particularly special. I don't have some type of intrinsic thing running through me that's different than everyone else. I just understood from an early age that personal motivation matters. I'm going to talk a little bit about that when I talk about personal motivation. But let me give you a little bit of my background, as I indicated before. I'm from Highland Park, Detroit Metro. That was my upbringing. So let me put it to you like this. I didn't grow up in neighborhoods where the lawn was landscaped, right? Now, no palatial lawns or golden toilet seats, right, in our bathrooms. I grew up in a neighborhood and in situations where, quite frankly, I thought government cheese was something everyone ate. And that Farina was like, that was like my favorite. Like, it was the best ever, right? And those of you who've come from maybe an environment where you didn't grow up on third or second or maybe in first base, you know what I'm talking about, right? In terms of my family upbringing, it's painful to share, but I think it's necessary. And I say this not to impress, but just to impress upon you. I grew up in a household where, let's just say, it wasn't the most positive for reaffirming, right? I had a parent that told me time and time again that I wasn't worth the food I ate, okay? I'm just being transparent. Hopefully that's okay with you, right? I had another parent when I first decided to step out on faith and start up my first business. He looked me dead in the face and said, look, I'm not going to support you. Don't anticipate that I'm going to help you secure one single client. And I thank God for my grandmother who raised me during the seminal stages of my life. She taught me a couple things. She said, number one, if you work hard and bring value to people's lives, good things will happen for you. She taught me, number two, have goals, have objectives. She also, before she passed, she says, boy, you're not going to box. You're going to become mayor of a city one day, but I refuse for you to box, right? So why do I share that with you? Because be careful of the things you share with your children, right? You'd be surprised at the things that people will carry with them. So why do I share that with you? Obviously, I don't hail from a background, right, where I was born on third base or I had the most support. So what was the primary key to my success? Now that we've gotten over the fact that it didn't have much to do with my quote-unquote personal background, I would refer to one of the most important things as an entrepreneur that you can understand is an understanding of self. What is your personal internal compass? Meaning, what is the conversation you're having with yourself on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis? The most important story you'll ever hear in life is the story you tell yourself about yourself, right? So what's your internal compass? Given some of the things and experiences I've had, both in my personal household and I've experienced in life, you have to have an internal compass. Can we all agree, for those of us who are entrepreneurs and business owners here, that oftentimes when you start any type of venture, you're swimming against what? The stream, right? Usually your family and friends, those whom you love, know, and trust, are the least likely to support you. And it's not personal, right? It's not personal. It's they saw you when you were wearing diapers. They saw you pick up some dirt and put in your mouth at one point in time. They've seen you do some of the most ridiculous, foolish things ever, right? They've seen you grow up and become the person you're becoming, right? So they don't see you as the person that you're directed to become. They don't see your vision. They just see what? You, right? And they say revolutions won't be televised, neither will the personal revolution that needs to take place in you in order to become a successful entrepreneur business owner. So your internal compass is very important. You have to be careful about your thoughts, right? You have to guard your thoughts. The bottom line is you can't attract to yourself anything that your thoughts ultimately repel. So I'm stressing this for a reason. Your internal compass is absolutely imperative. Why is this important, right? Why is this relevant? Well, when I attended the University of Michigan, being one of the first to attend a university of that caliber in my family, obviously when I came out of school and was done my matriculation there, when I went back to the neighborhood, if you will, obviously I didn't have a lot of family and friends that had $1 million to invest with me, right? I started out in the banking industry, and I couldn't go to family and friends and say, open up a $25,000 account. It just wasn't going to happen. Or a $25 million account. It definitely wasn't going to happen. So I started out in the banking industry basically with just a positive affirmation in my head that I meant something, that I was born in this world to accomplish great things. And within a year period of time of working in the banking industry, I was given a goal by one of the executives. At the time, it was Standard Federal Bank. Now, after all the different buyouts and changes, Bank of America. And they said, look, in order for you to keep your job, you have to raise $1 million in revenue over the course of a year. Now, at the time, I was placed in a bank, downtown Detroit, tall skyscrapers, people walking around with briefcases. I was just ambitious enough, right, to believe that I could get that done, despite the fact that coming out of school, I never handled more than probably $5,000 at one time. They want me to raise $1 million. And long story short is I raised that $1 million in less than 3 months. Now, me being me, because I was taught that if you work hard and accomplish great things, you'd be rewarded commensurate with your efforts, right? So I'm in the banking news. I'm expecting them to get some phenomenal type of reward or some type of pay raise or something like that. And basically, at the time, the company was owned by a Dutch company, AB and AMRO. And at the time, the executive there literally flew from Europe, came here, and a couple of days later, I received a card in the mail while I was at work, and I'm thinking, this is going to be phenomenal. Maybe there's some type of bonus check or something. Long story short, it was a $50 Marshall Fields gift card. So, I'm sure some of you understand where I'm going with this, right? I concluded right then and there that I was willing to put in that type of sweat equity to raise that kind of money for a banking institute. I could do it for myself. And so I called up a number of my mentors within the banking industry, and I said, look, I'm going to raise stuff on my own. I'm going to start up my own investment advising practice. I'm going to get my insurances, I'm going to get my securities license, get all that fun stuff, which is what I ended up doing. And I can tell you time and time again, you know what individuals told me? No. That's a ridiculous decision. Why would you leave a good paying job, right, to step out on faith and start up in an industry where very few of us are really representative there, and you're not for money? Like, that's just the dumbest decision you can make. You're too young, you're too this, you're too that, you don't have enough resources, you don't have enough money. You hear where I'm going with this, right? Isn't that what we hear as entrepreneurs oftentimes? Entrepreneurs, can we say amen? Amen. We hear it time and time again, right? We've heard it. You don't have enough money, you don't have the resource, you don't have this, you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have the other. But what we all understand is something called, once again, self-concept, right? Your own self-concept. Low aim is simply a reflection of your own self-concept. If you have low aim, you have low self-concept. You have high aim, you have high self-concept. That's all I had really going for me, right? I worked in a job where I was paid approximately $28,000 at the time, which was kind of quote-unquote good money coming straight out of college. But, you know, it was what it was. I was comfortable with people telling me what to do, but I had a higher self-concept, so I believe there was more out there for me. So long story short, I stepped into being an investment advisor. I acquired my licenses, started out with a company called Aflac, soon after that John Hancock, and several companies between now and then. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Because the first 2 years were hard. They were very hard. Ramen noodles and milk every single day. That's why I could still slip into a size 34 pants waistline, right? It was the protein deprivation. But the bottom line is it was very difficult, and I thank God that my oldest daughter now, who's 16, back then, of course, she's 2 years of age. I'm a single parent trying to take care of her. And she just thought, the candles were burning all the time because it was cool. She didn't realize electricity was out. So what kept me going, right? I had the high self-concept. The other thing that you have to get accustomed to doing if you're going to step into entrepreneurship and business ownership is you got to crystallize things in your mind. You have to be able to see, you have to utilize your mind's eye. You have to see your success, right? Because initially, you're not there yet. So you have to see yourself becoming that. You hear people say, well, I'll do A, B, C, and D when I make this amount of money. I will commit to A, B, C, and D activity when A, B, C, D transpires. When I have the resources, then I'll do it. That's not how it works. The attitude comes before the altitude. You understand what I'm saying? You have to walk in the fullness of yourself. You have to believe that you are a multimillionaire or a billionaire, whatever your goal may be. You have to believe that you're going to touch 10,000 or 100,000 lives. You have to believe that what you're doing is bringing value. You have to see yourself, right, before it happens. So that's another step in the process. I saw myself becoming a successful investment advisor. I didn't care. I knew there were people in the office taking bets against me. They were saying, look, he's not going to last 2 months. He's not going to last 2 years. I knew that was taking place. They refused to support me. My first day as an investment advisor, they sat me at a desk with the yellow pages and a phone and said, go to work. No training, no nothing. Right? So I had a high self-concept, but I'll tell you, despite all those challenges, I had something that was driving me. See, I had written down that one day I would own $1 billion in assets. I had written down that one day I'm going to fill up Cobo Hall. And it's not because I'm so great, it's because I've built an organization that has helped so many people they would feel compelled to come and hear the message, right? Not because I'm so phenomenal, right? It's just that I have been tested. And before you can have a testimony, you have to be tested, right? So these are the type of things I wrote. I wrote down that I'm prolific, that I'm purposeful. I'm the best at what I do. I exude excellence, right? These are the things that I wrote down. And I could see myself driving the vehicle I wanted. I could see myself surrounded by my family. I could see the huge house. I could see myself giving my children something that wasn't given to me, which was oftentimes present, supportive parents. Right? You have to see yourself walking in it. But when you see yourself in it, it motivates you. It inspires you, right? It becomes emotional. It's not enough that you think it. You have to write it down. You have to crystallize. You have to envision it, right? So these are the things and the steps that I went through in order to achieve these particular goals and objectives. You have to write it down. You have to have a burning desire, right? No matter what you decide to accomplish in life, you will not accomplish it unless you think you can. In other words, you got to begin with the end in mind, right? So often individuals say, well, I think I can. I'm going to try this. Hopefully this works out. No, it's already done. You've already lost at that point. You have to begin with the end in mind. You have to believe you're going to achieve, right? So I'm supposed to be talking for all of 20 minutes. There's like a 10-minute segue I could go through, but we've all heard about the athletes, the movie stars, those individuals who we celebrate on the television set, right? And we find out about what? Many of their humble beginnings. Denzel Washington was waiting tables for a living, right? Waiting tables for a living. Bill Gates was a college dropout, right? And go on and on and on. These are individuals who, quite frankly, when you saw them at the moment in time when they made the decision to become a successful business owner or entrepreneur, you would not have believed it if you were looking at them right then and there, right? President Barack Obama, otherwise known as Barry, right, years and years ago. He was sitting on a couch, considered a class clown, right? No one took him very seriously. But today, United States, right? Most powerful executive figure in the world. Right? So you gotta take time to do these things for yourself. You have to develop I will not lose, I will not quit attitude. You cannot accept failure as a remote possibility at all. Ever, never. You can't allow the possibility of failure to enter into your mind. Right? You can't stop a man or woman who will not quit. Right? So you have to make up your mind that you're going to succeed no matter what. How does this behavior manifest itself? I remember approximately 3 years ago, my vehicle broke down while I was driving on Greenfield and Grand River, not the place that you want a vehicle to break down on at 8 p.m. at night. Unlike most individuals, I didn't panic, I didn't get upset, I didn't walk around the car and kick the tires. I made the phone call to make sure I could arrange a ride to come pick me up. I didn't jump on the phone or jump on Facebook or Twitter and complain about what was going on. I literally pulled out my notebook, my notepad, and I began making phone calls. I figured I'm going to be sitting here for about an hour. I'm going to make some phone calls and drum up some business. Last time I had a business owner porch me, as I call it. And those of us who understand what I'm going to, you set an appointment, you walk up to the door, whether it be the business door or the residential door, and then they look out the window or they don't come to the door, right? Any of us ever been there before? Have you done that to someone before? That's called a porching. Now, the last time that transpired, I could have been upset. I could have kicked the door, been upset, made a phone call, called up my colleague and said, I can't believe, I could have called the person, I can't believe you did that to me. What did I do? I looked across the street, I saw a collision shop, I introduced myself to the owner, found out that the business owner just lost a friend that happened to be the business planning attorney for that collision shop, and now they acquired the services we offer, right? You have to have a can-do, will-not-lose attitude. No matter what transpires, you have to keep the course. It's not necessarily important in terms of what you do to get there, or necessarily the how, if you will. Look, the universe will conspire in your favor when you take this attitude. Things and resources will appear that you never expected to transpire in the first place. Look, you hear about things like the law of attraction, right? And some people think law of attraction is some type of hokey principle or ideal that was conceived to sell a lot of books and CDs. But I'll tell you, the law of attraction is as real as the law of gravity. You attract the things you think about. Now, what do I mean by that? Because I want to sum this up. I want to make sure I stay on time and no one's giving me the warning. I'm accustomed to talking for an hour, so you got to raise a finger. Let me know something. So I'm trying to condense as much as possible. So what do I mean by that? So you walk into a room or a place like this, right? A club or an environment, and there's music playing, and there are people who are attractive and nicely dressed and aesthetically pleasing, like what I'm looking at in the crowd tonight, right? And you walk into this space, and can we all be in agreement? There's usually three types of individuals at a party. The first person may be a wallflower, meaning they're standing against the wall. They have not stepped on the floor one time. It's like kryptonite to them, right? They refuse to step near the dance floor. They haven't gone to the bar to grab a drink. And I mean, as soon as they hit the door, they literally walk to the wall, right? And they have assumed right from the get-go that this party sucks. The party sucks, the people suck, the music sucks. Now I'm going to stand up against this wall because it sucks, right? We've seen that, right? We've been around individuals like that before too, right? Then you have another group of individuals. As soon as they hit the door, what's the first thing they do? They run to the dance floor. I mean, they sprint. It's like a race. And it doesn't matter what music is playing. It can be hip-hop, R&B, I don't care, rock, heavy metal. They're going to dance. And they're not going to leave the floor for an iota. They might use the bathroom or get a sip of water, but they're back on the floor again, breaking a sweat, right? And before they hit the door, you have to understand, they made up their mind already that they were going to do what? Have fun. They were going to get it in right from the get-go, okay? And then you have some individuals where they go to the bar first, and then they're making their way to the dance floor, right? But the bottom line is, if you ask them, how's the party going, they're going to say, it's fantastic. I'm enjoying the music. I'm having a good time. I'm dancing. I'm sipping on a little Merlot, whatever the case may be, right? All three of them were right. When they hit the door, they were all right in terms of the experience they would have at the party, right? The individuals who had made up their mind, this party experience was going to be negative, this party experience was going to be negative, guess what? It was negative. The individuals who made up their mind, they're going to have a good time, this is going to be a fun party, guess what? It was a fun party. The individuals who decided they're going to hit the bar first, you know, get a little spirits in them, right? And then go to the dance floor, guess what? They were right too. And understand that every individual that hits that door, typically they fall in one of those categories, right? And they gravitate towards what? Like minds and like people. Where in business, you have to be the exact same way. Associations matter. It is not just your thoughts, but the individuals whom you hang around. Look, I will never diss my family, the individuals and friends I grew up with, or even the business partners I work with and experience today, but I will distance myself sometimes. You see what I'm saying? I won't diss them, but I will distance myself. So there are certain books that have the answers I need. They have the solutions to the things I want to accomplish. I spend time with John C. Maxwell. I spend time with Paul J. Myers. I spend time with President Barack Obama reading some of his books and memoirs. I spend time with Vincent Harding. I spend time with Martin Luther King. I spend time with Malcolm X. I spend time with people who inspire me to become a better me, right? Associations. So now time for my shameless plug. So what drew me to Legal Shield? ultimately was all said and done. Why is all this relevant? I don't necessarily believe that Legal Shield chose me. I believe I chose Legal Shield with a little bit of it immersed back and forth. And what do I mean by that? I always work with the belief that if you work hard and bring value to people's lives, that the world and the universe will reward you. But let's be transparent. You can bring a lot of value to people's lives and still not be paid commensurate with the work you're putting in, right? I could be very passionate about 8-track tapes, but it doesn't matter how passionate I am about 8-track tapes. Is anyone going to buy an 8-track tape from me, right? So sometimes, you know, certain business ventures can be a hobby, but not necessarily the thing that you need to become financially independent, right? So let me just preface what I'm getting ready to say with that. So I believed in working hard and bringing value to people's lives. Let me ask one simple question of everyone here. Over the last 5 years, if you could have picked up the phone and talked to a highly qualified attorney about anything, it could be starting a business, S Corp, LLC, C Corp. Maybe the neighbor's tree fell over in your yard. Maybe their dog is barking too loud. Maybe your dog is barking too loud. Maybe you received a traffic ticket. Maybe you're getting ready to purchase a home or a car, or maybe a utility company overcharged you. You took your car to a mechanic, car went smoke when you dropped it off, and all of a sudden you pick up the car. It's a what? A laundry list of issues. Anyone been there before? Anyone ever acquire a product or service that didn't meet your expectations? You call up customer care and you find out they don't what? They don't care. Anyone been there before? Now, over the last 5 years, if you could have picked up the phone to handle any of these issues and more, and known that you had a qualified consultant that wouldn't charge you $200 to $400 an hour, but they would literally charge you approximately $1 a day, how often would you have picked up the phone? I just heard someone raise their hand and say dozens of times, right? That's the response we typically receive. So I was drawn to the company because of what? The value proposition, the fact that we could actually be a blessing and help individuals. Bottom line is the legal justice system is broken, and you only get as much justice as you can afford here in the United States of America. We believe differently, that the amount of justice you receive shouldn't be predicated upon your wallet, but the merit of your case and your cause. And hopefully people be in agreement with that. In terms of the success and whether or not the company's having fertile ground, let me be transparent with you. I'm involved in a lot of nonprofit ventures. I love this one. I'll support this whether I'm being compensated or not. I'm putting that on the line right now. So you can expect to see me again, compensation or not. Okay? But Legal Shield ain't one of them. I wanted to be compensated for the work that I did. When I took a look at Legal Shield approximately 6-7 years ago, the company had 15 years of consecutive growth. It had a stock return of 4,300%, and the company actually had its best year this past year since 2005. Obviously, that's something called what? Fertile ground. Over the last 10 years, they produced over approximately 100 individuals who earned in excess of $1 million in income, and 1,000 individuals who have $1,000 income above and beyond. Guess what? I like that. I appreciate that. Fertile ground, right? So a little bit of the shameless plug. But I'm going to tell you ultimately what got me really excited about being involved with a company like Legal Shield, and what gets me excited about entrepreneurship period as well, is I believe entrepreneurs and activists are one and the same. You know what we all have in common? We wear our passions, our love, and our desire to help people on our sleeves. When you're involved in entrepreneurs and activism, there's a special drive that's inside you. You start thinking not about what you can do for yourself, but what you can do for others. My business mentors have always taught me that significance, success, that is what you do for yourself, significance is what you do for others. And I think that's what entrepreneurs and activists have in common, a desire to serve and help people become better. Right? That's part of the reason why I joined this company. It's part of the reason why I stand before you today. And I can speak with conviction, and I actually read from a prepared script that it took me 4 hours to prepare, but I can't stand still long enough to read from it, right? So hopefully what I've shared with you touches you in some way and inspires you enough to go out there and step out in faith and know that you can do it, right? Have a burning desire, a real high self-concept. Define your goals. If you don't have an agenda for yourself, the world will create one for you, right? Crystallize these things, write them down. What are things that you're most passionate about? What are the things that you'll get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and you'll just get excited about it, right? Well, you'll have that positive 5 a.m. pep talk. I'm the best. I'm the brightest. I'm phenomenal. I'm incredible. I bring value more than anyone else does. When I wake up this morning and walk out the door, there's going to be a red carpet laid out for me because people are waiting to see me, right? Have that 5 a.m. pep talk. And, you know, just get after it. Be like the Nike commercial. Just do it. So before I get, she comes over here and collapses upon me and takes this mic. Everyone, it was a pleasure speaking for you. It was an honor and privilege. Everyone, a fantastic evening. Good night. God bless.